There are not many people who can tell stories of the Great Depression from firsthand experience, who killed rattlesnakes just to pay the bills, and who really did have to walk for miles in the snow just to get to school. But I met a man who did all that and much more. Here's the life story of Les Benhart.
See, I went through the Depression. I know what it was like when the banks went broke.
But what Les Benhart's family lacked in monetary wealth, they made up for in family riches. He grew up in a tough time, but surrounded by a lot of love. One of 10 children growing up on a farm in Lynxville, Wisconsin.
Well, we had a herd of what they called Durham cattle at that time. There was a milking cow and a beef cattle both. And probably 60, 70 head of hogs is all we raised. We only had 160 acres.
It was on that farm that Les developed a strong back and an even stronger work ethic. Farming is not easy, and it was especially difficult in the early 1900s.
Had a lot of hard work, which didn't hurt us one bit.
Born in 1917 and now 91 years old, but as he relives the story of his childhood, the memories are still fresh, like they happened just yesterday.
There was a trout farm down there. And I was a kid, we used to go down there and catch trout with our hands out of the creek.
Les didn't stop with catching trout. He also tried his hand at rattlesnake wrangling. In Crawford County, Wisconsin, you could make good money if you were brave enough to try it.
They paid 50-cent bounty on every rattlesnake, whether it was a big one, a little one, whatever it was.
Bravery wasn't the only character trait that helped Les make some quick cash. He also outsmarted his fellow snake snatchers.
We went down into Grant County where they didn't pay bounty on rattlesnakes because nobody hunted them there. And one Sunday I got 37 rattlesnakes.
Still to Les, in spite of the dangers, it was a seemingly carefree childhood. Although he remembers walking through snowstorms to get to school, sometimes the snow getting as high as 3 feet. He battled rheumatic fever in his teens. At that time, many didn't survive, but Les did. When he was young and not hunting rattlers, he worked for 10 cents a day. That wouldn't buy much now, and it didn't buy a lot then.
You could buy a bar of candy for a nickel. You'd buy a pair of shoes for 49 cents.
Still, Les stayed on that family farm through his teen years, into adulthood, and even after getting married, Les stayed until he couldn't stay any longer. Finally, he sold the family farm and traveled from state to state, grabbing a ride by hopping on a passing freight train or hitchhiking his way from state to state. He made stops in Minnesota, Missouri, then southeast Iowa, and finally in Cedar Rapids. It wasn't the job in Cedar Rapids that changed Les's life, but rather a simple fishing trip.
It just so happened that a buddy of mine I worked with from Dubuque was working in Cedar Rapids. We went up to Clayton Highway fishing. Here we met the superintendent of the John Deere Harvester Works. And he was looking for workers that time. That was in 1957.
And as some might say, the rest is history.
We came down here at the John Deere Harvester Works and went right to work the next morning.
Within a few years of landing at John Deere, Les and his wife bought a house in Geneseo. They raised a family, 6 children, and while he speaks fondly of his childhood, if you really want to see the sparkle in Les Benhart's eyes, just ask him about his children.
I'm proud of all of them.
He's also proud of his years at John Deere.
It was the best move I ever made. Go down here. Because with the 6 children, they had a chance to get a good education. They all graduated from Geneseo High School.
For the past 20-plus years, Les has called East Moline home. He moved here after his wife died. He's near his kids. He treasures the time that he spends with them, his grandkids, and even the great-grandkids. Still, that childhood on that cold Wisconsin farm The memories of that are never far away.
I still think them was the good old days. We worked hard. We knew the value of a dollar.
And as Les enjoys the fruits of his labor, he has this advice for his family.
Be honest with everybody and be honest with yourself. Don't try to, I wouldn't even cheat at cards. And next thing is, try to be a good person. I always thought I was a good father to my kids. I tried to treat them all right and loved them all. And I think it's paid off.